Hi there everybody, it's Verity here from inkybutterfly.wordpress.com. Thank you for joining me today for an inspired Thursday. Each Thursday I participate in a little project share with three of my other crafty friends, so Jill, Heather and Jez. And from their projects that I've picked to share in that blog post, I've picked out some products to mess about with and come up with something myself. Okay. So this week's selection is the Lovely You stamp set from Jill. I'm going to use this, one of the sentiments in this. Heather used the 'Tis the Season Designer Series paper to create her card, so I'm going to use that today. Really great Christmas patterns in traditional red and green. And then Jez pulled in the stitched nested labels for her card, so I'm going to be using those. So the die that I've used here is it's the third smallest, so they alternate, so 1, 2, 3. Bless me. Excuse me. And I'm actually going to, I've already done a bit of prep ahead of time, because you may have seen me use the 'Tis the Season DSP before to make some card fronts, and when I cut down the card fronts I end up with a 2-inch strip of paper left over. So I've actually used those strips, and you can see I had them together. The die will cut through 2 layers of DSP quite easily, and I've used those strips to cut out several of these little shapes, which I'm then going to make the patchwork kind of background from, which is what Heather card. So she'd use triangles, but I'm going to use these dies instead to make a patchwork background. Okay, I've now got all kinds of little bits of paper all over there. So I've just got a piece of Whisper White here, which is just so happens to be one of my normal card layers, and I've already die cut, as I say, loads of these shapes already, and I have a plan of how they're going to go on the card. Okay, so what we're going to do is start putting them on here, and then we're going to cut this down. Okay, so where did my seal go? There it is. So I'm just going to use seal for speed, really. Or shall I use glue? No, actually, change my mind. I'm going to use glue. Gives me a bit of wriggle room. So these guys are going to start. I'm going to work across this piece of cardstock, and I'm going to have them practically touching, I think. How far across? Okay, we can move them down a bit. So let's shuffle those along. I'm just gauging where they. I have just actually put this out. I don't know why I didn't think to. Although actually they go like that. So yeah, so they're going to go about there then. So they stick out about a 1/4 of an inch. Okie dokie. So like I say, I'm going to just build up a pattern with these. Starting, like I say, roughly in the centre of this, and work up my pattern. And using the wet glue will give me a teensy bit of wriggle room on that too. I'm not. I want to get them straight on the cardstock, but I'm not worried about it not covering the end, the sides, top edge. I just want to get these all straight and equidistant, because we'll be cutting it down anyway. Okay. So like I said, I'd already planned out how I was going to put these onto the card, so that you didn't have to, in terms of the pattern, so you didn't have to necessarily watch me fiddle about with them. course these are double-sided, so, and there are many other patterns in the paper, so if you wanted to do, you could probably do this and have every shape a different pattern. And because it's in the coordinated paper bundle with the same colours, it's going to look good. Okay, the colours in this pack, by the way, are garden green, shaded spruce, cherry cobbler and real red. I'm just going to put a silicone mat under there so I can just see myself sticking that to the grid paper. These ones with the lines on, just I'm trying to get them in the same orientation. As each other. So those two and those two. Okay, and then we've got these three. So I'm not putting a lot of glue on here. You may want to make sure that you've got more across all your edges. Make sure nothing lifts up. You see how these shapes fit together really nicely. And it didn't take too long to cut out these shapes by doing two at a time. You probably could have got 3 sheets at a time through. They stick together a bit, but they separate out nicely, and you don't lose any of the stitching detail on the one that lies underneath. They've all got that lovely detail on them. Okay, so that's those. How many have I got there? 3, 6, 10. Okay, on to one of my normal, what's that called, card layer. And I was going to cut it with a stitched rectangle so that we still get this sort of stitched frame all the way around. Okay, and then that means it all sticks beautifully down. It looks like I've done it all the way to the edges without actually doing that, so that's what we're going to do now. So my cut and emboss machine is just here. Almost picked up the whole thing to put through then. I'm slicing up my silicone mat. So die cutting with the cut and emboss machine from Stampin' Up is easy as 1, 2, 3. I have just put that on the plate so that one of the corners goes in first rather than one of the sides, so slightly at an angle on the plate. So I don't know whether you can see that. It's not straight with the edge of the plate. It's gone in with this corner leading in, and that makes it goes through a lot more smoothly if you do that. All the die cutting instructions, as in the sandwiches that you need, the combination of plates that is actually written on the each of the plates, each of the base plates, so you can't go wrong. Yeah, I'm just carefully bringing that out because that glue wasn't probably fully dry, but it was dry enough to get this cut. Okay, so there we have my layer, and that, by the way, was the second largest stitched rectangle. But what I think I'm going to do is cut the next size up to layer this onto. I think it needs for the white frame, as we've used the white frame. We've got a white frame around the little die cuts. So again, I'm just going to put that on that cardstock with a corner leading into the machine. And whiz that through. Away before I just so those can layer together like so. Makes a really nice border. And I need to decide what colour card base I'm going to put that onto. And what I might do actually is use some crumb cake to bring in a neutral. She says, hoping that she's got some crumb cake to hand. Yes, she does. Okay. Yeah, that's already cut down to size. Score that quickly at 5 7/8 of an inch. Very easy to do on the trimmer. Love this trimmer. Really well engineered piece of kit that is, and the markings go down to a 1/16 of an inch and it cuts very accurately even at those tiny measurements. Okay, so just the stitched rectangles are sized for A2 cards, American A2 cards. So you will get an uneven border around the edge. Sometimes that bothers me, sometimes it doesn't, and I haven't die cut that straight actually, so my centre thingies are a bit wonky. You can see, yeah, you can tell, but so for demonstration purposes that will be fine. Just trying to decide, I think I need some texture across there. I'm wondering if I can use some, wondering what I've got. I've got some real red ribbon, which I could add across there. Cut off another length for the bow maybe. I saw somebody do a different way of tying bows, but I haven't practiced that yet, and it meant the tails went really nice, but I'm going to stick with my bunny ear method for you today. I know that that's going to misbehave. Okay, so there's a bow ready to go, and I think we need something across here, and I'm going to use the Just Because from the Lovely You set as well. Okay, so let's stick these things down. So this on the white layer with some Stampin' seal. Lining that up, you've got a moment just to make sure it's straight, and then we'll attach the ribbon across the back. I think I want to hide this extra white line, so I think we'll go across there. And across there, so I've got way more ribbon than I needed, but it's better to have plenty. And of course, because that's not straight, that doesn't look straight, does it? Okay. And then attach that to the card base. Actually, this has ended up being a landscape card. I don't do landscape cards very often. Don't really know why. Just prefer the 10 folds as a general rule. Okay, so there's a bow ready to go if we want it. And then I think what we'll do is, because we've brought in the real red with the ribbon, let's bring in shaded spruce for the sentiment. What I haven't done is seen if this is straight on my block, so this is another good way to use scrap grid paper. Yes, it's possibly a little bit wonky. Definitely wonky now. So I've got a scrap of Whisper White there, lightly tapping onto that shaded spruce ink pad, making sure I've covered it all, and I'm going to stamp that on here. Like so. Oops. And then we can use our trimmer again to make sure that's nice and straight, and cut it down to size. Just going to use my bottom edge just to square off this corner. Sorry you can't see that. So now I've got a straight edge at the bottom and at the top, which means I can now do this top edge, and now that that's straight, and now I can do this last edge here. Like so. Scraps to one side. Sorry, I just realised that probably clattered very loudly down your ear holes. I do apologise. And I think he's going there. And of course we've got to use some dimensional somewhere along the line, haven't we? This is going over that ribbon, so I'm actually going to add some wet glue over the top of that to make sure that adheres properly. Because that will sort of seep through, if you like, and make sure it bonds all the way through. So let's put that there, just give that a bit of a really firm press to try and get that to stick down. And then while I'm doing that, I'm going to bring out some rhinestones, I think. Definitely need something along that background to bring out those, draw the eye. Just wondering what to use. It might just go with clear rhinestones. There are some holiday rhinestones in the catalogue, I think, if I remember rightly. glue dots. Definitely my glue of choice when it comes to sticking bows on cards. Very quick, easy, no mess adhesive. Sharp scissors to cut away those tails. It's going to leave quite long, I think. Add some texture. Right, just make them even though. There we are. And of course, my trusty take my pick, your pick, take your pick, but it's my pick. Tool, big one, a medium one, a teeny tiny one, just to frame that sentiment up. And we want odd numbers, so I'm just going to put another, just a couple along here as well. Measure a bit straighter. Odd numbers always look good. Okay then, do we think we're done? What do we think? It just needs to have something heavy on it and then it will stick down nice and straight. And there we are. Really nice. That was quite easy to do once you'd planned out how many of the shapes you needed and line those up. That was really cool. It's just a slight mistake lining up that stitched die, so it's ended up a little bit crooked on the background, but nonetheless really pleased with the effect on that. I hope you like it too. Okay, so the original blog post that showcases the cards that I've used to inspire this make today is all in the description bar below. Click on the little arrow and you'll see them all there, and so within that blog post there's some links to the products that those guys used, and I shall put some quick links into there as well for all the ones that I've picked out to use today. All the other information is in there as well about joining. There's a great joining offer at the moment, so do check that out. So you get 2 free stamp sets with your starter kit and card making kits and a pack of rhinestones. So these rhinestones that I keep using, I'm using them all the time. You'll get a free packet of these in your starter kit if you join in September, as well as 2 additional stamp sets on top of all the stuff that you've put in for your £99. Still the best value product in the Stampin' Up catalogue is the starter kit. Okay, and I'd love to have you on board, of course. I'd love to have you on board. Always looking to grow my team, and if you've never stamped before, it doesn't matter. I'm here to help you with that and provide some assistance. Right, that's it for today. Thank you everybody. If you've got anything, any questions, comments, please leave them for me. I do look at them. Thank you very much for joining me today. Take care, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.